Hello there, my fellow garden lovers. Have you ever looked at an old wooden chair, maybe a bit wobbly, a little worn, and thought, I just can't toss it out? Well, you're not alone. If you're anything like me, you see stories in every scratch, and you know beauty doesn't always come brand new. Today, we're unlocking 12 brilliant garden ideas, all using old furniture you might already have, and wait until you see idea number 9. It involves a broken headboard and ends in pure garden poetry. Welcome to Golden Seniors Living, a place where age brings wisdom and every forgotten treasure finds new life in the garden. If your soul lights up at the scent of soil, the joy of creating, and the beauty of second chances, you're right where you belong. Subscribe and let your garden and your heart keep blooming with us. Now let's roll up our sleeves and breathe new life into old furniture. One brilliant garden idea at a time. 1. The chair planter got an old dining chair tucked away in the shed. Maybe the seat's cracked or the legs wobble just a little more than they used to. Most folks would toss it out without a second thought, but not you, not us. Because in every well-worn chair, there's a story. A place where someone once sat with a morning cup of tea or tied their shoes before heading out to the garden. And just because its days of holding people are done, doesn't mean its purpose is. Now, here's where the magic begins. Take that old chair and carefully remove the seat panel. If it's already missing, even better. Gently sand the edges if needed, but don't worry about perfection. Weathered is wonderful. Then, place a medium-sized planter bowl or even a terracotta pot right into that opening. Line it with coconut coir or moss for an added touch of rustic charm, and fill it with your favorite trailing flowers. Think petunias, lobelia, or even ivy. Before you know it, what was once just an abandoned seat becomes a regal pedestal of color, a garden throne for blooms. The contrast of soft petals spilling over worn wood, it's striking. The chair lifts your plants off the ground, giving your small garden some welcome vertical dimension without you needing to bend or kneel. That's a gift, especially in our golden years. Want to make it even more special? Paint the frame in a soft pastel or let the patina of old paint tell its story. Tuck the chair under a tree, beside your garden path, or even on the front porch, and suddenly your garden has character, personality, a voice. And here's the real beauty. When someone visits and spots it, they won't just see flowers. They'll ask, "Where did you get that?" And you'll smile and say, "Ho ho, that old thing, I made it myself, from a chair that nearly ended up in the bin." Because that's what creativity does. It rewrites endings. In a world that's quick to discard, you've chosen to repurpose, to find value, to see beyond the cracks and splinters. That old chair may no longer cradle a person, but now it cradles color, joy, and just a little bit of wonder. 2. Bookshelf greenhouse. An old wooden bookshelf. Maybe the back panel is loose, the paint is chipped, or the edges are scuffed from years of faithful service. Once it stood tall in a living room or hallway, proudly holding novels, cookbooks, photo albums, chapters of life. And now it leans, unused, collecting dust in a corner of the garage or shed. But here's the secret. Activities this shelf still has one more story to tell. Lay it down, yes, gently place it flat on its back. Suddenly, the shelves that once stood vertically become cozy planting compartments, just waiting for soil and seed. Now, cover the top with a clear pane of glass, perhaps a salvaged window pane, an unused picture frame, or even a bit of acrylic from a forgotten photo box. That's all it takes, and you've just created your very own mini greenhouse. A cold frame. And unlike traditional greenhouses, there's no hammering, no nails, no backstraining construction. Just imagination. Inside those wooden walls, you can start your tender herbs, lettuces, or baby tomatoes early, safe from biting winds, heavy rain, and chilly spring mornings. The clear lid traps warmth, lets in light, and shields your seedlings as they stretch toward the sky. You don't need to lift bags of cement or install anything fancy, just repurpose what was already there, patiently waiting. And if you like, you can add a hinge to the top or prop it open with a stick during the day. Keep a small thermometer inside. Paint the outer frame a soft sage or dusty blue. Line the bottom with crushed eggshells or stones for drainage. This isn't just about planting, it's about personalizing. And in a small garden where space is precious, this bookshelf turned cold frame offers something more, a sense of purpose. A quiet corner where new life begins, a reminder that something doesn't have to be big to be bountiful. So next time you pass that forgotten shelf, don't think of what it was, think of what it could still become. Because a shelf that once held story can now help them grow, not with pages but with petals, not with chapters but with chives and chamomile. And that, my friend, is the most beautiful kind of transformation, when something meant for one life quietly blossoms into another. 3. Mirror magic wall. Have a cracked mirror tucked away in the attic or behind a closet door. Maybe the edge is chipped, or a thin crack runs like a river across the surface. It might seem too far gone to hang indoors, but out in the garden it has a brand new purpose, one filled with light, illusion, and charm. You see, mirrors don't just reflect, they expand. They whisper to small spaces, "You're bigger than you think." And when nestled among flowers and foliage, they offer something almost magical. Start by giving the frame a light sanding, or leave it as it is if you like that worn, weathered look. A touch of antique gold or mossy green paint can help it blend right into your garden's color palette. Then choose your spot, the fence, a brick wall, even the side of a shed. Mount it low behind a lush pot of ivy or next to a trellis of morning glories. As the greenery grows, it will begin to wrap gently around the mirror's edges, softening the hard lines and creating the illusion of a window, a portal into another garden, one just beyond reach. Even the smallest courtyard suddenly feels deeper. A narrow side yard becomes layered, alive. In a shady nook where sunlight barely kisses the soil, the mirror catches just enough light to brighten the space, dancing back the day's last rays like a secret smile. And that crack, that imperfection you once thought ruined the whole thing, it doesn't distract. It adds. It reminds me. It tells a story of time, of resilience, of beauty not in spite of flaws but because of them. Because gardens, like people, are not perfect places. They're not manicured all the time or blemish-free. They're real, wild, evolving, just like us. So let that mirror stand proud. Let it reflect not just flowers, but the life you've planted with love. Let it echo colors, sunshine, movement, birds flitting past, bees at work, a breeze shifting the leaves. And when a visitor pauses, tilts their head and notices the reflection, they'll feel it too, that quiet bit of wonder that sneaks in when you least expect it. Because even a crack can double your joy. Even a broken thing can reflect beauty back at you. And in a small garden, that's the kind of magic that matters most. 4. Headboard trellis. An old iron or wooden headboard, maybe from a bed your children once slept in or one that held your dreams through a younger chapter of life. Now it sits quietly in the shed or leans against a fence, too sentimental to discard but no longer useful in the home. But oh, what beauty it still holds. That headboard, whether curved with wrought iron swirls or framed with simple wooden slats, is waiting for its next role. And believe it or not, it was always meant to be in the garden. All you need is a little space behind a flower bed or vegetable patch. Stake the headboard into the ground, firmly but gently, so it stands upright like a gate to another world. Then plant something that climbs, sweet peas, morning glories, pole beans, or climbing roses. Give 'em time, a little sun, a little water, and soon those vines will stretch upward, curling around the bars, weaving between the posts, reaching for the sky like stories unwinding from a memory. And as they grow, the headboard disappears. Not completely, but just enough. It becomes a silent frame, holding up more than stems, holding up beauty, texture, and the joy of watching something rise. It's strong, it's vertical, and in a small garden that height adds rhythm, drawing the eye upward, creating layers, making even the tiniest patch feel abundant. But the real magic? It's nostalgia. Every time you walk by, it whispers a quiet reminder of where it once lived, of the laughter, the rest, the dreams it supported. Now those dreams bloom in new colors, and for those who visit, They may not know where it came from, but they'll feel something. A softness, a charm, a sense that this space has history, heart, a soul rooted not just in soil but in story. So the next time you pass that dusty old headboard, don't think of it as junk. Think of it as a trellis in disguise, waiting to cradle your flowers the way it once cradled your sleep. Because in the garden, everything, even a bed frame, can find a second life, from sweet dreams to sweet peas. 5. Dresser drawer planters. Got a broken dresser sitting in the garage? Drawers that stick, knobs that don't turn quite right anymore. Maybe it's missing a leg. Maybe it once stood proudly in your bedroom or a child's room years ago. Now it's scratched, forgotten, taking up space. But what if I told you, that dresser isn't done giving? Let's bring it outside, into the fresh air. Don't worry about refinishing or perfection. We're not restoring it, we're reimagining it. Start by pulling out the drawers, some fully, some part way. Angle them just a little so they cascade down like steps. You can prop them on bricks, garden stones, or even place the whole frame against a fence or tree. Then, line each drawer with landscape fabric or plastic to keep moisture in. Add a few drainage holes underneath, and fill them with rich, dark soil. Now comes the fun part, planting. In the top drawer, try marigolds, bright, cheery, and hard-working in pest control. Next, tuck in some mint, cool, fragrant, perfect for tea or a quick nibble on a warm day. Go bold with nasturtiums, gentle with trailing lobelia, or practical with parsley and thyme. Mix flowers, herbs, even strawberries. Whatever sings to you. Suddenly, you don't just have a planter, you have a vertical garden, a tiered buffet of color, scent, and flavor. Each drawer becomes its own little world, bursting with life, and the entire piece tells a story. It's no longer just a chest of drawers, it's a living sculpture. Visitors will pause and smile, surprised. Children might ask, "Why are flowers growing out of furniture?" And you'll smile, knowing that the dresser found its purpose again. It's easier on the back, too. No kneeling, no digging in the ground. Just tend, trim, and water right where you stand. And isn't that what we want in this season of life? Ease, beauty, and meaning. So don't toss that old dresser just yet, because a chest once full of socks can now overflow with basil, bloom, and a bit of joy you didn't know you were missing. 6. Sink into herbs. Remember that old porcelain sink from the bathroom remodel? The one with a little chip on the edge, sitting quietly at the back of the yard or under a tarp near the shed? It once held soapy hands and morning routines, but its story isn't over yet, because now it's ready to hold something far more fragrant. A garden of herbs that greet you with every step. Let's begin with the setup. Find a sturdy base, a couple of bricks, a short stack of paving stones, or even an old plant stand will do just fine. Raise the sink just enough to make it easy on your back and your knees. Gardening should never feel like work. It should feel like grace. Now look at that basin. It already has drainage built right in. No need for drilling, no extra tools. Nature and plumbing have already done the job. Line the bottom with a bit of gravel or broken pottery to improve drainage, then fill it up with fresh soil. Not too packed, let it breathe. And now, the planting. In one corner, tuck in creeping thyme, delicate, fragrant, and lovely beneath your fingertips. On the opposite side, plant a bit of rosemary, sturdy, upright, always reaching for the sun. Between them, fill the space with parsley, chives, or a small basil plant that will perfume the air on warm afternoons. Before you know it, the sink becomes more than just a container. It becomes a destination. Imagine walking out in the morning, snipping a bit of mint for your tea or a sprig of oregano for your lunch. The herbs grow close together, protected, elevated, safe from pets, pests, and the strain of bending. You can even add a few bits of broken tile around the rim or paint the outside with soft colors to match your garden. A splash of personality, a bit of flair. What used to be part of a bathroom becomes a tiny sanctuary of scent, flavor, and memory. And isn't that something? The sink, once forgotten, now overflows with life. The same place that held your reflection now reflects something deeper, your creativity, your care, your vision. So don't let it sit in silence any longer. Bring it out. Let it bloom. Because from bath to basil, beauty never flushes away. Loving these soulful garden ideas so far? Don't go anywhere. We've still got a suitcase that blooms, a dresser that defies expectations, and a final bench that may just stir your heart. The best is yet to come. 7. Window frame, trellis. An old wooden window frame, no glass, no hinges, maybe a little weather-worn from time and memory. It leans against a wall between you and the world, forgotten in the morning light, but only for now, the chill of winter. Because this window is ready to open again, like living not to a room, but to the garden. Take that frame, dust it off. You don't need to fix every chip or fill every crack. In fact, those little imperfections, they're characters. They whisper of years gone by. Brush on a bit of weather-resistant paint if you'd like, or leave it raw and rustic. Then find your spot, a garden wall, a fence, or the side of your potting shed. Hang it just as it is, or prop it up among flower beds with sturdy stakes, and suddenly this empty frame becomes a canvas for something new. Plant sweet peas at its base, or morning glories, nasturtiums, even beans if you fancy a little harvest with your bloom. Watch as the vines begin to stretch upward, slipping through the open panes, wrapping gently around the wooden edges like lace threading through a loom. As the weeks pass, color fills the empty spaces. Blooms peek through where glass once lived, and when the light hits just right, it feels like the sun is painting through nature's own stained glass. Only here, the colors change with every petal and leaf. There's something comforting about it, something poetic. Because the window no longer looks out, it looks in, into your garden, into your care, into the way your hands give second chances to things most would discard. It's more than decoration, it's elevation. It's soft and structured all at once, and in a small garden, a window like this adds depth, charm, and a bit of whimsy. You don't need acres, just one frame and a little imagination. And perhaps that's the quiet lesson here. Some windows don't need glass to be beautiful. Some don't need walls to belong. Some open not to a room, but to the sky. So let your flowers climb, let your garden dream, and let that old frame remind you beauty isn't always something new. Sometimes it's just waiting to be seen again. 8. Suitcase flower bed, Grandpa's vintage suitcase. The one with the worn leather corners and the handle that's held on by hope. Maybe it's been sitting in the attic for decades, collecting dust and memories. It's traveled its miles, carried its weight, and witnessed stories we may never fully know. But what if, instead of hiding it away, or letting it go, we gave it one more journey? This time, into bloom. Start by gently opening the suitcase and cleaning out the inside. And just like that, too tattered, that's fine. What once carried clothes and memories now carries fabric and wonder. Then line the base a sense of whimsy, plastic or landscape charm you don't get from store-bought pots. This keeps moisture in and protects the case from rotting too quickly. Someone thought differently. Add a few drainage holes through the bottom if possible, or simply place a shallow tray or stones beneath the liner to let excess water collect. Then fill it with soil. This kind of creative thinking adds layers, ready for something new. Personality. Now comes the fun part: warmth. Planting. Because the suitcase is shallow and compact, it's perfect for plants. So before you toss that old suitcase, stop and look again. Sedum, succulents, or low-growing herbs like thyme wheels to keep moving forward. You can even make it a fairy airports or train platforms tiny figures, pebbled all paths, it needs and a splash of imagination. A few place seeds, it on a garden table, and your willingness to believe it still has somewhere to go. A centerpiece. One more journey. A curiosity this time people it is in bloom. Smile and ask, is that ladder display full of flowers? Got an old wooden ladder in the corner of the shed, the kind that creaks when you open it, with one rung that feels just a bit too wobbly to trust? It might not be safe to climb anymore, but that doesn't mean it's reached the end of its usefulness. In fact, it's just getting started, not as something to help you go higher, but as something that helps your garden grow beautifully, right where you are. Take that ladder, splinters, paint drips and all, and lean it gently against a garden wall, the side of a fence, or even your home's exterior. Let it rest at a comfortable angle. You won't need any nails or screws. Gravity and balance will do just fine. Now slide a few short wooden planks or repurposed boards across the rungs, just wide enough to hold a small pot or two. These make instant shelves, no hammer required. And just like that, you've built yourself a tiered garden display. Now, the magic: fill it with potted herbs, basil, rosemary, or parsley. Maybe some trailing ivy on the higher rungs, or a gentle fern that peeks out between the wood below. Add a few colorful blooms, bright geraniums, purple pansies, or lavender if you like a touch of scent. Each rung becomes a stage, each pot a performer, and together they create a living sculpture of green and bloom, rising gently from ground to sky. This ladder doesn't climb anymore, and it doesn't need to. Instead, it holds steady. It gives your garden a vertical rhythm, especially valuable in small spaces where you want to draw the eye upward and make the most of every inch. And it's so easy to change with the seasons. In spring, fill it with early bloomers. In summer, switch to vibrant, heat-lover plants. Even in winter, you can use it for dried herbs, pine cones, or lanterns that glow in the early dusk. You don't need to build anything complicated. You don't need power tools or a blueprint. You just need a ladder and a little vision. And maybe that's the quiet wisdom here. Some ladders no longer take you up. They simply hold your dreams steady. In clay pots and fragrant soil, in morning light and late day shade. So let it lean, let it cradle, let it bloom. Because in the garden, even something that no longer climbs can still lift beauty higher. 10. Nightstand garden sink, that old nightstand in the corner of the garage. Missing a drawer, maybe a little lopsided, maybe covered in a layer of dust and a few forgotten memories. It once stood by a bed, holding reading glasses, a lamp, maybe a well-worn book or two, but now it's ready for something entirely new, something useful, beautiful, and right at home in the garden. Let's bring it outside. Take that nightstand and give it a gentle clean. No need to strip it or sand it to perfection. A little wear and tear is part of the charm. In fact, the more character, the better. Where did the missing drawer used to be? That's now your open shelf, perfect for tucking away your gardening gloves, twine, seed packets, or a small watering can. And where the top surface once held a clock or a teacup, now we create your potting station. Find a small metal bowl, preferably one that fits snugly on the surface, a mixing bowl, an old basin, even a large dog bowl works. Cut a hole in the top, just wide enough for the bowl to sit in comfortably, or simply rest it right on top if cutting feels like too much. Add a scoop of soil, keep your snippers and labels nearby, and just like that, you've got a charming mini potting sink. It's everything you need, right at hip height. No more bending down, no more digging through a cluttered bin. And the best part? It fits right into small spaces, a balcony, a patio corner, even by the back door. You can dress it up with a coat of paint, stencil some flowers on the sides, or leave it perfectly rustic. Every time you stand there, preparing your pots, dividing seedlings, or just breathing in the scent of damp soil, it becomes more than a nightstand. It becomes a ritual, a quiet, sturdy helper, one that's easy on the back and gentle on the spirit. And if you want to take it even further, add a little hook to the side for tools, hang a towel, maybe even place a tiny potted plant on the shelf below. This isn't just repurposing, it's reimagining with care. Because when we give new purpose to something old, we give new rhythm to our own days too. So let the dresser stay by the bed. Let the vanity stay in the hallway. But let that nightstand follow the sun all the way out to the garden, from bedside to flower side, where it was always meant to be. 11. Cabinet door signage. Old cupboard doors, the ones left behind after a kitchen remodel or pulled from a cabinet that just couldn't be saved. Maybe the handles are gone, the paint's chipped, or the hinges creak like tired knees on a cold morning. But before you haul them off or pile them with other scraps, take another look. Because those old doors, they're not done opening. They're ready to guide. Lay one flat, give it a gentle wipe down, and bring it into the light. You don't need to sand it down to the bone, just enough so the surface is ready for something new. Now, here's where the fun begins. Grab a small can of chalkboard paint or matte black acrylic and brush it across the panel. Let it dry, give it a second coat if needed, and soon enough you've got yourself a rustic, ready-made garden sign. Hang it on your shed wall, mount it near your raised bed, or lean it against a wooden crate next to your herbs. Then take a piece of chalk and write what's growing nearby. Basil in big loops, cosmos in soft script, or perhaps simply the word dreams, because not everything you plant is meant to be eaten. And here's the real magic. It's changeable. One week it says mint, the next it says marigold. In winter it can say rest, in spring it might say begin again. It's not just a label, it's a little message board for your garden soul. Want to go even further? Use multiple cabinet doors to create a row of signs. Paint one in chalkboard black, another in white with stenciled flowers, a third in soft pastel with handwritten quotes. You can attach hooks for hanging tools, add little shelves, let them serve as both art and utility, because gardens don't need to be purely practical. They should speak, they should express, they should feel like you. And these doors, once closed, once silent, now get to open again, in the most unexpected way. No longer part of a kitchen, now part of a sanctuary. And for those who pass by and see them, they might pause, smile, and read something simple like, "Joy grows here," because that's what this is really about. Giving forgotten things a voice, giving your space a little more heart, and reminding yourself that creativity doesn't fade with time, it deepens. So keep those old cupboard doors closed. Paint them, write on them, lean them beside your favorite blooms. Because some doors don't close. A guide. 12. Bench of memories, that old bench out on the porch. The one with a slight creak in the wood and a spot where the paint has long since peeled away. Maybe it's been there for years, weathered by sun, softened by time. Maybe it held quiet conversations, Sunday tea, or a grandchild on your lap. It might not look like much now, but don't be fooled. That bench still holds something sacred. Not every piece of furniture needs to work hard to be useful. Some simply need to be present. Let's start with a little care. Give it a light sanding, not to erase the years, but just to smooth them. Let the patina stay. Choose a color that makes your heart smile, maybe robin's egg blue or a soft sage green, something that echoes the garden. Paint it slowly, thoughtfully. Let every stroke feel like a tribute, not to the bench, but to the memories it's held. Once it's dry, place it beneath your favorite tree or along the edge of your garden path. Somewhere quiet, somewhere shaded, somewhere that feels like rest. Add a cushion or two, maybe with florals or even something handmade. And just like that, the bench becomes an invitation to pause, to breathe, to sit, even if only for a minute, and watch the way the wind dances through the leaves. You don't need it to do much. It doesn't have to store tools or hold pots. It just needs to be there, steady, grounding, familiar. And in a small garden, it becomes an anchor, a place to rest your hands after pulling weeds, a place to sip coffee while the birds visit, a place to think, remember, and simply be. Because here's the truth. Gardens aren't just for growing plants. They're for growing peace. And that bench? It holds more than just your weight. It holds your story. It holds years of mornings, evenings, and betweens. It's not a display. It's not decoration. It's presence. So don't throw it away. Don't hide it. Let it be seen again. Let it belong not just to the past, but to the blooming present, because it may not be fancy, but it still holds stories. And now it holds blossoms too. Sit here. Let the past bloom around you. From suitcases to sinks, windows to headboards. Today, we didn't just plant flowers, we planted meaning. Each forgotten piece, once headed for the trash, became a quiet work of art. A second chance, a whisper that says, you still have something beautiful to give. And in our golden years, that message matters. We don't need to chase new things. We need to see the old things with new eyes. A chipped drawer, a creaky bench, a faded frame, when placed in the garden, they come alive again. And maybe, in some small way, so do we. Because gardening, real, soulful gardening, isn't just about soil or sunlight. It's about a story, about healing, about hope with roots. Every bloom we grow is a gentle reminder. life continues. With grace, with color, with creativity, and often with things that others overlooked, but we saw with love. If even one idea today brought a spark of joy or stirred a memory, give this video a gentle thumbs up. It helps others, just like you, discover the magic of second chances. We'd love to hear from you. What forgotten piece is waiting in your shed or attic, ready to become something blooming and new? Leave us a comment. We read every word, and your stories inspire us more than you know. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Golden Seniors Living, because here your imagination never retires, and your garden, it's still waiting to bloom right alongside you.